Hello again everybody and welcome back to Marvel Mania. Today we will be focusing mainly on the one and only Tony Stark, Iron Man. As we all hopefully know, Iron Man dies at the end of Avengers Endgame, but that doesn't have to mean that he's gone forever, because with Marvel there are always a lot of possibilities, including the resurrection of dead characters. Now, I'm not saying that Tony Stark will be brought back to the MCU, I'm just saying that there might be a possibility that he could. So in this video, I'll break down a couple possibilities that I think could bring back Iron Man to the MCU. So to start off, we have the possibility of Iron Man from another universe. Now, at first, this might seem a bit far-fetched, but after we were hinted of the multiverse's existence in Spider-Man Far From Home, anything is possible. Now, by bringing back Iron Man from another reality could help introduce the multiverse to the MCU, while also giving us back our beloved Iron Man. Now, since it's from a different universe, we don't know if he'd be the same or if he'd be a completely different character. But yeah, at least it's something. Now, on to our next possibility would be to have an essence of Tony Stark. So what this basically means is Tony's consciousness programmed into, for example, a computer system. So in comparison, it's basically like another Jarvis or Friday, except it's Tony Stark. In the comics, there's a very famous example in Civil War II. After Tony Stark fought Captain Marvel at the end of the comic, he nearly died. So he transferred his consciousness into a computer system, creating his essence. It was almost like a holographic form of himself. Even though he wasn't completely dead in Civil War II, and he was completely dead in Endgame, maybe he had something similar programmed to activate it when he did die. The other time that this is shown is actually not in the main universe. It takes place in Earth 1610, the Ultimate Universe. Here, Iron Man, who is actually Antonio Stark, can temporarily become alive in a non-physical sense, being able to manifest himself into computer systems. So, even if Tony is really dead in the MCU and doesn't have a plan of coming back, maybe, once again going back to the multiverse, another Iron Man from an alternate reality, like Antonio Stark, could teach them. Maybe the alternate Iron Man doesn't have to replace Tony, but instead is able to fix him. I mean, if it's only going to create an essence of Tony, maybe that might not be a complete fix, but hey, it's better than nothing. Also, one thing could be that if Tony ever creates a digital essence of himself, it could be a possibility that the essence is able to heal or bring back his original body. But since it was confirmed by Joe Russo that the Hulk's injuries from the snap that he did in Endgame were permanent, and Tony suffered from what looked like the same injuries as the Hulk, we can add 2 and 2 together and conclude that Iron Man's injuries are probably permanent as well. So I doubt that Tony's body will be restored one way or the other. But once again, it's Marvel, so who knows? Anything is possible. And now transitioning to another possibility, maybe his body doesn't have to be restored. Maybe Tony has pulled off an Operation Phoenix like Rick and Morty.
Backup. Data. Operation Phoenix initiated.
Maybe he already has separate clone bodies that he just needs to transfer his consciousness into. Stretching it a little bit more and becoming a bit more like Rick and Morty, he could have his clones in other realities. This could also introduce travel through the multiverse. Okay, so after that, there is one more possibility that may seem obvious on how Iron Man could return to the MCU. But the difference with this one is that it wouldn't work, and that's time travel. And I'll explain why it doesn't work. But first, to understand this, you need to understand time travel in the MCU. Time travel in Endgame is based on David Deutsch's many worlds or multiverse theory. Now, this is an actual scientific theory, and it basically says how when you change something in the past, it doesn't affect the present or the future, but instead it branches out into a separate timeline, a separate reality. For example, in Endgame, when the Avengers visit New York from 2012 and Loki escapes with the Space Stone, when the Avengers get back to the present in 2023, Loki hasn't caused chaos around the world with the stone for 10 years, and that's because it happened in a different timeline, a separate reality that was created when they changed the past. This also explains why killing Thanos as a baby wouldn't do anything, because only in that separately created timeline would Thanos be dead as a baby. So now, this brings us back to our original point, Iron Man. They would not be able to bring back Iron Man using time travel. Because if they even found a way to save him as well as everyone else, he would only be alive in that separate timeline that they created when saving him. When they would return to the present, the main timeline, he wouldn't be alive. it would be the same as before. This is also why they couldn't save Black Widow in Endgame, and that's why time travel wouldn't work in bringing back Iron Man to the MCU. So there are your possible scenarios of how Iron Man could return to the MCU, as well as an explanation of why time travel would not work. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and hopefully you understood all of it. If you did like it, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And please, if you have anything that you'd like us to go over in another video, comment it down below. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this, and see you all next time on Marvel Mania.